There's a state where schools are closing faster than you can say population crisis, and the exodus is so severe that even cheap land can't lure people back. Ghost towns, economic freefall, communities literally vanishing. This isn't science fiction. It's America's migration map in 2025. While headlines scream about boom cities, entire states are hemorrhaging residents at alarming rates. We're diving into cultural erosion, systemic collapse, infrastructure nightmares, and yes, literal disappearing coastlines. This countdown exposes 10 states Americans have abandoned. One state has more wildlife than humans, another's literally sinking into the ocean, and there's a place that'll pay you cash just to stick around, but even that bribe isn't working. Think you can predict which states made the list? Once you see the data, you'll understand why fleeing might be the wisest move some folks ever make. Smash that like button if raw data gets you going. Hit subscribe if you prefer knowing what's coming before everyone else. Let's expose the truth. Number 10. Hawaii. Hawaii's population is evaporating so rapidly you'd think the islands are being swept out to sea. Spoiler, it's not rising tides. It's the cost of existing. Everyone fantasizes about relocating to Hawaii. Crystal waters, epic surf, perpetual golden hour. It's basically a Windows screensaver come to life. But here's the ugly truth locals know. The dream is dead, and they're jumping ship. Between 2020 and 2024, Hawaii lost approximately 20,000 residents through domestic migration. Median home price, above $1 million. Average rent for a one-bedroom, $2,400. Groceries cost 67% more than the mainland. That gallon of milk? Nearly $8. This isn't paradise. This is financial waterboarding with hibiscus flowers. Half the locals juggle 2 gigs just to stay afloat. Teachers and nurses are abandoning ship. One Oahu resident nailed it. Living here feels like hitting the jackpot, then immediately getting taxed at 110%. But it's deeper than money. It's housing scarcity, limited careers, and mainland investors transforming neighborhoods into luxury experiences. The bitter irony? The people fleeing are the culture that makes Hawaii Hawaii. What remains? Empty homes owned by absentee investors and schools with dwindling enrollment. Vegas is called the ninth island because so many locals relocated there. Hawaii perpetually tops best places to visit rankings. But try living there. Everything costs triple. You'll drop $25 on Poke and $60 filling up just to reach the store that's out of Poke. Here's what nobody mentions. Hawaii isn't losing its beauty. It's losing the balance between fantasy and reality, visitor and resident, paradise and paycheck. Number 9. West Virginia. West Virginia's hemorrhaging residents faster than coal jobs vanished, and considering coal's collapse here, that's terrifying. The state's population has plummeted every decade since 1950. Median household income, $55,000, one of America's lowest. While unemployment hovers near the national average, labor force participation is dead last at barely 54%. Translation: half the state isn't working, and a chunk of that half is planning their escape. Healthcare access ranks 49th nationally. Opioid overdoses remain among America's highest. Half the state's counties are officially distressed economies. Young people are evacuating. Median age is now 42.6, and 1/3 of college graduates bail within 5 years. One Redditor wrote, "If you stay long enough, the mountains start feeling like prison walls." The state feels trapped by geography, economy, and a narrative it can't rewrite. The irony: cost of living runs 17% below the national average. Houses sell for under $150,000. But when jobs don't exist, cheap rent solves nothing. It's like owning a yacht with no ocean. Every politician shows up in flannel, poses at a coal plant, promises revitalization, then vanishes. Meanwhile, locals patch roads with duct tape, pray their Wi-Fi holds, and watch their kids flee to anywhere with a target and a future. The tourism slogan claims, "Almost heaven." Given the exodus, maybe it needs updating. Heaven adjacent, Wi-Fi optional. Number 8. Illinois. Illinois lost nearly 460,000 residents between 2010 and 2022. That's Seattle's entire population packing up and never looking back. Let's break this down. Illinois lost over 56,000 residents to other states in 2024 alone. Property taxes, highest in America, averaging over $9,500 annually at 2.08%. Statewide. State debt, over $140 billion in unfunded pension liabilities. Crime. Chicago's crime rate remains roughly 3 times the national average. You know it's bad when suburbs are fleeing to Indiana. Illinois has plenty going for it: arts, food, world-class universities. But none of that matters when existing feels like financial hostage-taking. People don't leave because they hate where they live. They leave because staying feels like drowning. Why does Illinois cosplay as luxury living but deliver Motel 6 experiences? You'll hemorrhage thousands in taxes while hitting potholes the size of childhood trauma. DMV lines move slower than glaciers. And don't think about renewing your license without proof of blood type, dental records, and a handwritten letter from Abraham Lincoln. Picture it. You're downtown, crisp air, overpriced latte, jazz echoing. Life feels poetic. Then your property tax bill arrives and costs more than your last vacation plus therapy. The music stops. And if you survive the taxes, crime, and budget implosion, congrats. You win a $75 parking ticket for blinking near a fire hydrant. Chicago style, deep dish, deeper debt. Illinois didn't implode overnight. It's death by 1,000 fees, and now the exits are gridlocked. Number 7. Alaska. Alaska has so much space you could vanish for days and nobody would notice. That happens regularly. Alaska is wild, remote, majestic. The kind of place that makes you want to grow a lumberjack beard and name your dog Timber. It's the last frontier, America's untamed masterpiece. But here's the thing. People aren't actually moving there. Alaska's been bleeding residents since 2013, nearly 40,000 gone. The facts: cost of living, 24% above the national average. Groceries in rural areas, double Seattle's prices. Crime rate, among America's highest for violent crime per capita. Seasonal depression. In Utqiagvik, the sun doesn't rise for 65 days. The PFD, the state pays you annually, but it barely covers heating bills. Living in Alaska is like dating someone breathtakingly gorgeous but emotionally unavailable. There's beauty, but constant dread that everything might collapse. You've got earthquakes, isolation, and the reality that basic services might not show up when needed. If your grocery shopping involves a snowmobile, 2 bear encounters, and a headlamp, you don't need a supermarket. You need backup. And the mosquitoes, Alaska's actual state bird, travel in squadrons. Alaska ranks among America's most dangerous states for violent crime. Meanwhile, Vermont, with its cute bakeries and llamas, ranks among the safest. Alaska's not losing people because it's failing. It's losing them because the wilderness doesn't care if you stay or not. Number 6. Connecticut. Connecticut has more hedge funds than high schools, but somehow still can't keep people around. Connecticut, home of Yale, Gold Coast estates, and towns where everyone owns a Volvo and no-sock loafers. It's old money wealthy, at least that's the reputation. But behind all that colonial charm, people are quietly abandoning ship. Retirees, professionals, business owners. Turns out you can have money, but still not enough to make Connecticut make sense. The data. Top 5 highest cost of living nationwide. Property taxes average over $6,500 yearly, some towns exceeding $10,000. Net migration, down every year since 2013, with $12.6 billion in income lost. Job growth flatlined outside finance and healthcare. Infrastructure crumbling. Half the people leaving head south, not for sunshine, but for fewer taxes. Connecticut charges luxury-level taxes for Target-level thrills. You'll pay $14 for oat milk in Westport and get judged for not wearing Canada Goose in October. Half the towns look like someone unplugged them in 2009 and forgot to reboot. Connecticut sits between New York and Massachusetts, but loses more people than both. Despite having more peace, more trees, and fewer Dunkin' per square mile. You know you're failing when New Jersey is the better deal. Connecticut isn't crumbling, it's calcifying. A place built for wealth that doesn't live there anymore. What remains is a museum of affluence, with an extremely active exit sign. Number 5. Mississippi. Mississippi's population is shrinking faster than a paycheck on payday, and the state motto might as well be, "We'll pray for improvement." Mississippi, land of blues, barbecue, and culture so rich you could bottle it. It's the beating heart of American history and the bruised soul of American inequality. But the truth? It's bleeding people. Since 2010, Mississippi has lost more residents than it's gained every year. Under the hood, median income, around $53,000, lowest in the country. Poverty rate, roughly 19%, nearly double the U.S. average. Education ranking, 47th nationally. Healthcare access, bottom 5 nationwide, with America's highest infant mortality rate. Persistently poor, half the state's counties carry this official federal designation. A Reddit quote, I love Mississippi, but it's like dating someone who swears they'll change every decade. Mississippi's story isn't about laziness or lack of pride. It's about being trapped in a loop the rest of the country stopped watching. Young people leave for opportunity. Old people stay for roots. Everyone else survives in between. Factories close, hospitals shut down, and the legislature debates whether reading books is woke. Mississippi has among America's highest crime rates, while having some of the lowest social program investment. You can't bootstrap yourself when boots cost more than hourly wages. You can't swing a guitar here without hitting history, genius, or rhythm. Yet broadband is still considered luxury. Drive 30 minutes outside Jackson, and it's a time warp. Here's a painful contrast. Jackson, Mississippi has one of America's highest homicide rates. Just across the border, Madison, Alabama ranks among America's safest and fastest growing cities. Same region, different universes. Number 4. Louisiana. Louisiana is losing land and people, a football field of coastline every hour and roughly 30,000 residents annually. Louisiana has soul. You hear it in every horn on Frenchman Street, every gumbo pot bubbling. It's where culture drips from walls, jazz, Mardi Gras, stories taller than humidity. Then you check the numbers. Since 2016, Louisiana has lost nearly 200,000 residents. The state ranks third in outmigration and dead last in infrastructure quality. Average household income, $57,000 versus the national average of $75,000. Violent crime rate among America's highest, second only to D.C. This isn't just about hurricanes, it's about exhaustion. You can only rebuild so many times before the nails stop holding. Here's the paradox. Louisiana is culturally rich. It gave the world jazz, Creole cuisine, and half the world's hangovers. But it's economically broke. The insurance market is imploding. Major companies are pulling out after years of billion-dollar hurricane losses. In New Orleans, over half of renters pay over 30% of income just to stay. Here's what nobody says aloud. Resilience has an expiration date. People love Louisiana, but love doesn't pay flood insurance. When your roof caves in for the third time, grit turns into, get me out. New Orleans alone has lost over 80,000 residents since 2005. Louisiana might be the only state where insurance bills exceed rent. You can fry anything here. Fish, beignets, your patience waiting on energy to fix the power grid. The roads? More potholes than pavement. Waze doesn't give directions, it gives condolences. Vermont has 6 months of snow, and people move there. Louisiana has food, music, and soul, and people move away. Charm doesn't stand a chance against climate change and crumbling levees. Louisiana isn't dying. It's drowning in water, in debt, in fatigue. It keeps getting back up. But even the strongest fighters need corners to rest in. Right now, Louisiana's corner is flooding too. Number 3. North Dakota. At one point, Williston had more job openings than housing. People slept in trucks making 6 figures. Today, you can rent a 3-bedroom for $800 and still nobody wants to live there. North Dakota was once the Wild West of modern oil. Around 2012, it became a fracking gold rush. People flooded in for big paychecks, bigger promises, and housing so scarce, you could rent a trailer in Williston for $2,500 monthly. Fast forward, the boom slowed, people bailed, and what's left feels like an abandoned party. Except it's winter, and the DJ never showed. Real numbers, net out-migration in 2023, over 5,000 residents gone. Job market, down 8.4% in oil and gas employment over 5 years. Weather, 50 plus sub-zero days per year. Population density, less than 11 people per square mile. Reddit gem. North Dakota is perfect if you want to feel alone without technically being alone. Isolation can be romantic until 3:30 p.m. Rolls around, it's pitch black, and your only social interaction is arguing with your own echo. The economic fallout hit hardest in rural towns that bet everything on oil. When prices dropped, so did jobs. There's cold, and then there's North Dakota cold. This is cold that insults you personally. Your snot freezes, your eyelashes stick together. Your car battery dies out of spite. It's not weather, it's punishment. Meanwhile, Florida is full of chaos, crime, and humidity, yet more people move there daily than North Dakota gets in a year. Weird how the place with alligators feels less isolating than the one with bison. Number 2, New Jersey. Fun fact, more people left New Jersey in 2024 than any other state. Even the rats are starting to pack. New Jersey, land of Bruce Springsteen, diners serving spaghetti at 3 a.m., and highways requiring combat driving licenses. For years, Jersey had weird charm, close to NYC without full insanity. Lately, though, it's less Garden State and more escape room where you pay property taxes to play. The numbers: more than 65,000 people left in 2023 alone, nearly 2,000 weekly. Property taxes: number one highest nationally, averaging $9,500 yearly. Cost of living index: 114.1 to 14% above U.S. average. Median rent for a one-bedroom in Hoboken: $2,980. The job market's decent if you're into commuting 90 minutes to a Manhattan cubicle. You get taxed to death, tolled at every turn, and your reward is a view of New York you can't afford to enjoy. Even longtime locals are bailing, not just for affordability, but sanity. It's the classic Jersey trap. You stay for nostalgia. You leave when nostalgia doesn't cover mortgages. Can we discuss jug handles? You want to turn left? Cool. First, make a right, spin around a Dunkin' Donuts, dodge 3 potholes, and maybe you'll land where you meant to go. It's like driving through Mario Kart with taxes. You're sipping burnt Wawa coffee at 7 a.m., surrounded by honking cars, trying to merge while avoiding a deer, a cyclist, and your own regrets. The sky is gray, the taxes are green, and your neighbor's been angrily mowing his lawn since 2003. It's home, but it's starting to feel more like a trap with good pizza. Meanwhile, in Tennessee, you can buy a 4-bedroom home, keep your paycheck, and still hear live music that isn't just car horns. Did you know New Jersey has more diners than any other state? And still nobody looks happy eating in them. Coincidence or symptom? Number 1. Puerto Rico. Technically Caribbean, legally America. Emotionally, that relative you only remember exists during hurricanes. Puerto Rico. Beaches so pristine they look photoshopped. Music that feels like sunlight. A vibe so laid back that time doesn't pass. It vibes. To casual eyes, it's paradise with palm trees and piña coladas. To people living there, it's paradise on a payment plan. The truth: Puerto Rico has been bleeding residents for years. More than 500,000 people have left since 2010. Over 14% of the island's population gone, not for adventure, for basic infrastructure and economic survival. The disaster unemployment hovers around 6%, double the U.S. average. Poverty rate 41.7%. Median household income $21,967, lower than every single state. The power grid has commitment issues. In 2022, major blackouts lasted days. One local: living in Puerto Rico is like dating someone beautiful, broke, and constantly forgetting your birthday. This isn't just statistics. It's emotional whiplash from living somewhere tourists adore but your own country forgets. You're American enough to pay taxes and serve in the military, but not quite American enough for equal disaster aid or congressional voting rights. It's not a state in decline. It's a place that never got to fully rise. If you live in Puerto Rico, your patience better be solar-powered because the electricity sure isn't. You lose power so often your fridge has trust issues. Your phone's at 3%, but you've become the generator. We're not just tired. We're tired of being tired. Every hurricane isn't just a storm. It's a reminder nobody's coming to help. Puerto Rico doesn't just feel forgotten. It feels ghosted by the very country it's legally married to. And people are leaving, not because they want to, but because it's getting harder to stay. Like this video if you've ever needed to yell, "Where's the power?" and didn't mean it metaphorically. Subscribe because this channel is basically your emotional support for understanding America's hidden crises. The migration crisis is real, the data doesn't lie, and these states are fighting battles most Americans don't see.